So welcome back. We have been talking about some different properties, specifically the distributive, commutative, and the associative properties. And this is just a review of the last couple days that we've had in class. Hopefully at this point we can recognize the commutative and associative property, and then we can also use the three different properties to simplify different algebraic expressions. So today we just have some sample problems where we are simplifying different expressions and naming the properties that we're using. Just a quick review in case we forgot. The distributive property is here, and again that's where we distribute one term to the quantity of two terms inside of parentheses. So in this case we multiply a times b in the generic expression plus a times c. In the commutative property, again, this is the one where we can think of things being moved around. When we commute, we are moving or driving from one place, usually our home, to our work site. Okay, so in any two numbers, a plus b, we can move and say they're equal to b plus a. And if we're technical, that's the commutative property of addition. The commutative property of multiplication lets us say that a times b equals b times a. If we put these to numbers, we know that 2 plus 3 equals 3 plus 2. And we also know that 5 times 6 equals 6 times 5. Sometimes I think better in terms of numbers than I do letters. With the associative property, who we associate with, that's sort of our group that we hang out with. And in the first one, the associative property of addition, if it's all addition, it doesn't matter the order or the grouping that I go in. So we see that they have the quantity of a plus b added to c, and then they have a plus the quantity of b plus c. That's one example with the commutative property of addition, and then the commutative property of multiplication over there. Moving forward, though, we're going to take a look at simplifying these and stating the properties used in each step. I'd suggest you maybe take a look at these problems, hit pause, try them on your own, and then come and check, see how did you do. Okay? You don't have to, but it would be a good practice. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to move the 8x and the 9x next to each other. And because we're moving the terms around in the expression, we have the commutative property. Because we only have three terms, we don't have to use the associative property. We can go ahead and follow the order of operations and add at this point. If we wanted to, we could put this step in. But again, if you didn't, in this particular instance, that would be okay. Again, this would be the associative property. And then that just leaves us with simplifying the two terms. 8x plus 9x becomes 17x plus 4y. And again, that's substitution. So hopefully this problem went okay for you. Taking a look at the next problem, again, I would suggest hitting pause, trying this on your own, seeing how you do at naming the properties. Again, most of us can simplify these expressions without any difficulty. The issue, again, that we have is naming the expression used, or naming the property used, pardon me. So again, we're going to go ahead and move stuff around so that we have similar terms or like terms next to each other. And when I do that, that's the commutative property. And then at this point, we are going to go ahead and group, and we should use the associative property here. And this just formally groups like terms together. At this point, we can go ahead and simplify. 9r to the fifth plus r to the fifth. We want to remember that there's a 1 in front of the r, so we can treat it as 9 plus 1. That becomes 10r to the 5th plus 12r to the 2nd. And one of our last examples that we'll do here, this one's a little more complicated. As we name the steps, one thing that I didn't show in the previous examples, the expression that we're starting with oftentimes is our given expression. It's what we start with. And we can sometimes name that step and just say, oh, it's given. So now we want to go ahead and distribute 3x through, or 3 through to the x, and it becomes 3x plus 6y plus, we'll take the 4 and distribute it through to the 3x, that's 12x. And we end up with 4y. At this point, we use the distributive property. And from here, I want to try and get terms that are like terms next to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and move the 12x over to the 3x. And that will leave the 6y next to the 4y. And again, because we're moving, it's a commutative property. Then we can go ahead and add grouping symbols. That's our associative property. And from there, we can go ahead and simplify. So my hope is that after tomorrow in class, we'll go through one more practice of this and then feel a little more comfortable than maybe we have today. And so tomorrow we'll work on a worksheet that I've developed where we're naming the properties used, and then also trying to get us onto a new website that we have for 30 days to try called iXL, and we'll give you your login names and passwords so that you can attempt to get in tomorrow. Thank you for sticking with us. If you'd like to stay tuned, I have included the answers for today's assignment. They may be a little bit small, but I tried to squeeze them just on a couple screens. I obviously won't walk through them all here today, but again, you can take a look and see how you've done at this point. And here's the next page. Thank you for tuning in and watching our lesson. We'll see you tomorrow.